Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be doing my episode review for the most recent episode of AMC's Fear the Walking Dead, which debuted last night on AMC. Of course. Please be warned with all of my usual episode review videos that this will be full of big spoilers regarding the most recent episode of Fear. If you're not caught up on Fear the Walking Dead by a few episodes, or just by this episode, do not keep watching or listening, as I will be going into spoilers, so you have been warned. And if you are caught up, please keep watching and listening, as I hope you'll find what I have to say informative. So you have been warned. That being said, very good episode. Very creative method of clearing the walkers out of the hotel. You know, it's nice that they're able to come to some sort of middle ground between the survivors of the wedding party and between Elena and her nephew Hector, workers at the hotel. You know, they agreed, okay, you know, we can all live here together. We don't have to see each other. We can all live here if we all agree to help each other to clear out all of these walkers. And they do that, and it's very creative and clever of how they do that. You know, they make it so they can like bottleneck all of them going down one straight path straight down the pier, which was a very creative idea. You know, good thinking, Alicia. That was very smart. Instead of going room by room and clearing them all out, you know, they just decided to take them all out together. And that was a great scene. That was a very awesome, cool, interesting way to deal with a huge walker infestation. So well done, guys. I also loved that we got to see how Madison and Strand escaped from behind the bar, and they took a hint from Nick when they saw him, you know, covered in blood last time they saw him. And like, oh yeah, covered in blood, their blood. You know, we smell like them, so they're not going to attack us. Oh, kind of nasty, but hey, let's do it. It's nice to see that they're adapting to that. And Madison is becoming quite a survivor herself. You know, she's already becoming a negotiator. She's already a leader, but now she's been able to become a negotiator. At least she was able to briefly negotiate with this particular group of survivors. I was also surprised to see just how many people were actually living in the hotel. Much bigger number than I thought. I thought it was like less than half a dozen people, but it's now more closer to less than a dozen people. Those are all the survivors from the wedding party. So that was interesting to see how many characters were living in the hotel. And it's, you know, become their new base camp, so to speak, now that they've cleared out all the walkers. Of course, they'll still have to deal with the tension between Elena, the groom, and his mother-in-law, you know, considering what Elena did to their family during the wedding when, you know, all hell broke loose. And then this episode also did answer, or sort of answer, what happened or could have happened to Ophelia. It's implied that she took their vehicle and drove off. Whether she kept driving in whatever direction they were going before they stopped at the hotel, or I'm suspicious that she turned around and went back to that farm where the one that originally burned out, where her father died, maybe try to find him. Either way, I hope we get some sort of answers or closure regarding Ophelia. I'm just very curious as to what has become of her, but at least we got a little something like that in this episode where it's revealed what happened to her. This episode also demonstrated how how when your past life skills can become quite useful. Nick was smart enough to realize, being the junkie that he is, he could create his own Oxycontin pills, which will then, of course, buy more time for the survivor colony to continue doing trade with the more aggressive survivors, the men with the guns who control the grocery store, the people who need or are addicted to the Oxycontin. And of course, I was reading about this episode online after it aired, and sure enough, people are already making references to Breaking Bad, that little sequence where we see him like lining up rows of powdered drugs and whatnot. Like, oh, okay. But, you know, Nick's figuring out, hey, I can use past life skills to apply to the apocalypse here, and that'll help keep us all alive but just a little bit longer. And so I thought that was pretty cool how he was able to do that, and he did indeed buy them some valuable time. Now, I think an attack is inevitable. I mean, once the other group of survivors gets tired of trading or just waiting for their regular dose of Oxycontin every day or every week. I think they're going to get sick of it and attack the Colonia. And that'll be an interesting sight to see. So if that happens, who knows how it's going to turn out. But it's an exciting prospect, an idea. This episode also answered why Alejandro, the pharmacist, the leader of the Colonia, believes that he was bitten and survived, because he described being surrounded by a horde of the living dead, and they were all reaching for him, grabbing at him. I think what happened was that one of them, or a couple of them, got their fingers deep in his shoulder, and they just started to pull out a chunk of flesh which could have resembled a bite mark. And I'm sure the pain was beyond excruciating for him, and it probably felt like he was being bitten or attacked by a walker, when in reality he was just having a chunk of flesh being torn away from him. I don't know. Obviously, we may not get that flashback, but I think it does explain why he thinks he survived a walker bite, because throughout the history of The Walking Dead and this show, nobody who is bitten by a walker does not survive it. No one does. They either die or they off themselves. Nobody survives a walker bite. So I am saying it right now. I'm guessing right now that he had a chunk of flesh pulled away while he was being surrounded by the zombies, trying to protect the junkie kid and the story he was telling, and it felt like a bite because of the unbelievable amount of pain. I think that's what happened to him. I don't know, I may be overthinking it, but I think it does explain why he thinks he survived a zombie bite, and why he's like God's now chosen man to lead his chosen people in this new wave of life or something. But who knows? Also, not too surprising that Nick and Luciana finally with each other, because, I think we all saw that coming a few episodes ago when she was first introduced, and how she was like one of the only few English-speaking residents in the Colonia. And, of course, she and Nick are going to become a thing now, or they could become a thing. I also thought it was interesting how during this episode, Strand opens up to a complete stranger, but he opens up to him because he feels his pain and his loss, and he's able to deduce rather quickly that his bride, his wife, they kept her, and when she reanimated, locked in the hotel room. Because when Strand said the honeymoon suite, I'm like, oh, that's how he's deduced that's where the mother-in-law and the groom were living or staying. And I thought to myself, oh my God, is he going to walk in on them having sex with each other because now they've reconnected as lovers through their loss? Nope, that's not what happened. But it turns out, the poor heartbroken groom was guarding the door because he didn't want anybody to hurt his reanimated wife. But, after having a heart-to-heart with him, Strand convinces him, let me help Jessica. And the title of the episode was Pablo and Jessica, which was very clever because Alejandro told the story of Pablo, the junkie boy he tried to save from the walker horde where he received his bite, and then Jessica, the name of the ill-fated bride who died on her wedding day, and her husband kept her reanimated corpse still walking around in a hotel room. So this was a very, very good episode. This was an episode that demonstrated what kind of stories I was hoping to see. These character conflict, character-driven stories of survival and courage, and meeting middle grounds and negotiating with one another, opening up to complete strangers, finding relatable experiences, dealing with serious walker problems like leading them out to the pier. This was another great episode, and like I said, I think the show gets better with each episode, so I'm sure the next one will be just as good, if not better. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the EdWord for once again another episode review filled with our favorite spin-off characters and walkers. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more episode review videos like this one, and don't forget Fear the Walking Dead premieres every Sunday night on AMC. Check your listings for your local times when that happens. Also, don't forget to check out my Facebook page in the description down below. I think you'll like what you see. Have a great rest of the night, everybody, if I don't see you again. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.